Hi, I'm Sydney. Welcome to the Forbidden Cities, a Keeper of the Lost Cities podcast where Jaycie and I talk about Keeper of the Lost Cities books, theories, characters, ships, and more. I don't know. You're confusing me.
That's what I'm here for.
I don't want to believe it, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to talk about the others.
Okay, next, the only telepath that we haven't discussed, Gethin.
Gethin.
A blonde telepath who's tried to kill Orly.
Okay, so you read your thoughts.
And killed Mr. Forkle.
You read your thoughts?
These are my thoughts.
Oh.
Yeah, they're just my kind of random interjected thoughts.
She said in our notes, it would definitely help to start a chain reaction that could topple our world. But I think a rally is the chain reaction.
Mm-hmm. Did you say that loud enough that they can hear you?
Oh. What am I saying?
It could start a chain reaction.
Yeah, Jaycie said in our notes, it would definitely help to start a chain reaction that could topple our world, as Forkle says in Neverseen. But I think a rally was the chain reaction.
Well, he didn't say. So I don't know. I feel like both of her parents would be something that would be very world toppling, because whenever she's trying to figure out who they are, he's like, no, if you finally settle on the correct answer, it would trigger a chain reaction that could topple our world. Mm-hmm. So it makes me think that if she guesses one of them, it will help her to guess the other, which brings me back to the Kendrick theory, but we've already talked about that. It would help her to guess the other, and then that would cause mistrust.
So perfect.
Which would make sense, because both of them were very trusted counselors. He was like, and he even said, I'm everyone's favorite. Well, second favorite. Empaths always win. So, like, literally, he was like, yeah, we're the two favorite counselors. So it makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. Sorry. I keep, kicking Sydney.
Okay, so, at Coker Holiday on Instagram, I think that's how you say it, Coker.
Coker.
CokerHollida. Okay. On Instagram, mentioned that he's a super powerful telepath, and Sophie hasn't yet been able to get into his mind.
Oh my goodness, that's right.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think about that.
Wait, no, it's because everyone's keeping her from it, though.
That's true, because she does say in Unlocked.
She's like, I can get in your mind. Yeah. No, he's like, I bet the moonlight could get in my mind if she tried, and everyone's like, no.
Mm-hmm. I think I have that quote in a minute. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to kill her. Orly.
Yes, he did. And I was very scared because Sydney, whenever she read Lodestar, and I didn't get it until later because I was on vacation, she texted me and was like, Jaycie, you're going to panic at this one point. And I was like, what? And she's like, Orly. And I was like, does she die?
But it wouldn't make sense. I was like, he tried to kill Orly, but they don't know each other.
Yeah,
there's no
motive.
Who she
is. I don't know why he tried to kill her still to this day. Like, all she did was show up in your cell, bro.
He's like, okay.
He's chaotic evil. Please tell me you put him as that.
We put him as,
Neutral?
Neutral.
Yeah,
no, do we?
I don't know.
No, we put him as chaotic evil, but when I read back, I said he probably should have been neutral evil because he's very strategic. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that's true, because he sat there
he says Finton acts on impulse. No. I don't know. Okay, moving on. Then Sophie says in Unlocked, sometimes I think he's the villain we should be focusing on, which is interesting because we could have a I am your father moment.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And Sydney, continue your notes.
Okay. So here is a point against it, which I agree with, and I don't think it's Gethin. Mm-hmm. According to the wiki, so not exactly always a reliable source, but they do make sense.
Yeah.
We know nothing about Gethin's life before the Neverseen. He doesn't have any known family, and we can't pinpoint when he joined the Neverseen because we don't know his age. We can confirm that Gethin has been with the Neverseen for at least 14 years, as he recruited Roy straight out of Exilium, who is 29 now and would have been around 17 or 18 back then. So, that was from Neverseen, so Sophie was 14. And so he would have had to be a double agent. It doesn't...
Her whole life.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And why would he kill Forkle if
why would he kill Forkle
on the Black Swan? Unless something turned him against the Black Swan.
Yeah, why? So here's what I keep coming back to. And actually, let's keep going.
And everyone keeps, panicking every time she tries to go in his mind. They don't really do that with anyone. I get that he's the only telepath, but, they were like, oh, yeah, go break Finton's mind, but if you read Gethin's, you will die. I'm going to read your quote. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He turned to Mr. Forkle. I feel you poking around in my mind. Your telepathy isn't nearly as clever as you think. Hers is, of course. He winked his unbruised eye at Sophie. Too bad she doesn't know how to use it. I know plenty, Sophie snapped. Stop. Mr. Forkle grabbed Sophie by her shoulders. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to read his mind. Do you understand me?
Yeah, and the devil's advocate in me wants to say, oh, maybe Forkle's trying to
hide him.
Trying to keep her from going into his mind. But I'm skeptical. I'm a lot more skeptical of this.
It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the way he acts towards her. Listen to this. You're a monster, Sophie growled. Said the living lab experiment. Tell me, did he spark your life and then freeze you and keep tweaking? So if you want to be on the Gethin side, you could say
he's trying to act like he doesn't know.
Yeah, or he could just have been
turned against.
Or he could just be like, here's my DNA. Do your experiment. I'm actually on the Neverseen. Like,
why would he help the people against him? They're like, here, create a weapon. Bye.
Yeah, but I
wrote...
He'd
be really chaotic evil if that was true.
Goodness. So I wrote here, I wonder if the reason Gethin keeps showing up is because he's going to become an important villain soon. In Unlocked, on page 397, Sophie writes, sometimes I think he's the villain we should be focusing on. I bet he's a keeper and knows all the Neverseen secrets. And I know I could shove past his mental barriers if everyone wasn't trying to protect me when I'm around him.
Interesting.
He is a keeper. And he does sound like he's going to be more important.
Who else is a keeper? Who sounds like they're going to be more important?
Yes, Kenrick.
This is random, but Gethin was that jogger, the first Neverseen member that she met, the jogger who tried to capture her. Yeah. So he really might be more important.
So then, right here, what do we have in our notes next? Okay, I have this. Why would the Black Swan not warn Sophie that he used to be involved in their order and is therefore more dangerous? Being her dad is a weakness he could exploit. It makes sense to protect Arale's identity because she's going to use her position to help her. Yeah. It makes sense to protect Arale's identity because she's not going to use her position to hurt Sophie but Gethin's. They at least should have mentioned that he used to be associated with them.
Yeah, and another thing, like, if he's on the Neverseen, why wouldn't he just be like, oh, by the way, I'm going to mess up your plans. I'm Sophie's dad. Mm-hmm. Lost cities are in turmoil. Because they're like, oh, no, the evil guy's Sophie's dad. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it's him.
You can make an argument, but it doesn't fit in the storyline.
Right.
Because, okay, think about the implications. Gethin's Sophie's dad. Okay? Mm-hmm. That means he used to be connected with the Black Swan. He has lots of leverage over Sophie, which he could use, which Forkle should have told her about.
Right.
He also has leverage over her that Gethin should have used by now. Unless he's being strategic and biding his time, and unless
which he
Forkle
did do during Lodestar.
And unless Forkle is trying to, what's the word, like, weigh his chances that Gethin isn't going to bring it up yet, and it's like, I'm not.
As he said in Neverseen, I'm not lying, I'm withholding.
Yeah, he could be withholding, but it's still.
I don't feel like it's Gethin.
It feels really weird.
Like with some of these, I'm like, oh no, that sounds really close to, but mm-hmm. with Gethin, I'm just like, no.
Mhm.
I don't know. Other theories that aren't telepaths.
I want to rule out Gethin.
One more thing
I
want
to talk about it.
I just don't think it's Gethin because with the kind of evil he is and how he is always trying to like get Sophie to read his mind, he killed Forkle. Like if he was Black Swan double agent, he wouldn't kill Forkle. Yeah. If he was turned against the Black Swan, he would have been like, oh, by the way, I'm the Moonlark's dad. Have fun with making the council trust her now.
It would feel so random.
And not planned.
Not planned.
She's planned her parents since the beginning. She knows who they are.
She knows.
Especially, like, orally, you could see the hint since book 1, like, her being silent the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so obvious.
Unless Gethin's just a psychopath.
Yeah, I'm sure the Black Swan is like, hey, psychopath, let's take some of your DNA. No, I don't think he is. Like, they wouldn't have trusted him enough because, mm-hmm. obviously Orly was a trustworthy person. It seems like the Black Swan really wanted to pick trustworthy people. Okay.
I wanna rule it.
And Mr. Forkle said, your parents wanted to be a part of your life. They both wish they could be a part of your life.
Yeah, he does. Thank you. It's not
my
Gethin.
pleasure.
Well, Forkle does lie.
But he was definitely telling the truth then. It was something like she was really mad or upset or something, and he tells the truth whenever she's mad and upset. But he said, I can't say who they are, and they don't know who each other are, but they do know you're their daughter, and that truly is the last I can say. So that was something that I feel like he was
I just read that earlier too. It can't be Catherine.
No, it really can't.
I really don't. There would
I feel
be.
like I shouldn't have told her this.
What?
That Catherine was a possibility. I mean, you would have found it anyway, but I shouldn't have
Oh no, I had a bunch of people on there say Gethin, and I've always been like, oh yeah, Gethin.
I did wonder him for a little while, but after this, it's like there's no chance. There's really not.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it at all.
And it would just seem really random. Shannon's not random. Yeah, Shannon is thought out.
Random. Which is why I thought Riley was too obvious. It was so thought out and led up so much, and I was like, no, she's trying to trick us. But this would feel like...
She knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm, this would feel so... Okay, so our reasons for it not being him is what Forkel says about them wanting to be in her life.
Mm-hmm. If he was double agent, then
the Black Swan would have warned.
He wouldn't have killed Forkel and tried to kill
the
Orly.
Timeline doesn't add up.
Right.
He's definitely not a double agent, but say he was a double agent in the past, the Black Swan would, first of all, they should have known who it was. Like, remember that whole mystery about Gethin? Like, who's Gethin? Yeah. They would have known who it was. It's the same reason that, you know how people say, oh, maybe Gisela used to be on the Black Swan, and I'm like, no, the Black Swan would have told Sophie.
And Keith, whenever they first found out that one of his parents was evil, they were Forkel was like, are there either of your parents that you couldn't trust?
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, my dad. And Forkel's like, well, then investigate your dad and call me back and call Sophie back.
It feels the same with Gethin. Like, it feels like the same thing as when people try to say Gisela used to be a double agent, and when they used to say she was Sophie's sibling or whatever. It feels the same. It's not Gethin. Wrong timeline, wrong evidence, would feel really random. Like, the timeline with Roy does not add up.
Yeah, he would have been...
And he would have used it by now, or the Black Swan would have warned Sophie.
Or he wouldn't have killed Forkel. That's the biggest thing. He would not have murdered Mr. Forkel.
Why do you think that?
If he was a double agent, like if he was actually in the Black Swan side...
Oh, no.
He wouldn't have. If he was really, truly working against the Black Swan, either they would have been like... Okay, so you need to know that he's your dad?
Yeah.
Or he would have been like, oh, by the way, Sophie, I'm your dad. Would you murder me? So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Because they'll never seem like creating those moral dilemmas for Sophie. Poor Sophie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that would have, like, totally incapacitated her.
Yeah.
Okay. Elwyn. Tell me why it's not before I read all the questions.
I want you to go through all of it, and at the end, I'm just gonna...
Please, just tell me. Okay. And then I'll go through them still.
Okay, well, give me 1 second. I gotta find... What was the note I left myself? What was that
you said
number?
Lodestar 5...
Was it Lodestar? No, it's Legacy 533.
Oh, Legacy 533.
I should have it bookmarked. It's right here on top. Yep. It may even be the thing that I bookmarked here. What did I bookmark here?
Don't bookmark. Don't take out my pencil.
I won't. Oh, no, that was just something different. Oh, no, that's part of this. Okay, good. All right. Legacy, page 533. So happy about this. So it's right after her enhancing. She realizes her enhancing is much stronger, right?
Mm-hmm. Just so you know, last night I told Jaycie, after researching Elwyn, I was leaning towards Elwyn. I had not heard her Kendrick theory then.
Kendrick theory's amazing.
But now Jaycie told me I have something to destroy that. So.
And it's quite clear. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start on page 532. And this is whenever she's talking to Fitz. For some reason, Fitz is talking. Talk to me, lean on me. Don't hide or run away or give up or... Whoa, Sophie repeated, not sure what to make of the way Fitz was staring at her hands. You have gloves on, he said. I do, Sophie agreed.
I literally read this last night.
What about your fingernail gadgets, he asked, ignoring the question. Are those on? Sophie nodded. I always keep them turned on. It just makes more sense that way. Why? Fitz looked up at her, and his eyes were wide and a little glazed as he murmured, It looks like your inflicting wasn't the only ability affected by the reset. Right now, even with all of that to block it, I can feel you enhancing me. Fitz was right. Sophie's enhancing was definitely stronger. In fact, it took 4 layers of gloves and her fingernail gadgets to block the ability's effect on him. So for telepaths, 4 layers of gloves and fingernail gadgets. And when she tried holding his hand without any barriers between them, it felt like lightning striking each of their palms. Fitz had to let go after a few seconds, so they weren't able to see exactly what the added boost allowed him to do with his telepathy. But Fitz did say it gave his mind a level of clarity he'd never experienced before. The strangest part, though, was what they discovered throughout the course of the day after testing the ability on anyone else they could gather. Everyone had a different threshold, and there didn't seem to be any logic to it. Except that we know now that, and it's mentioned in just a second, Keith took 7 layers of gloves. An empath is her mother. Adeline, these are the people that they tested it on. Adeline, Elwyn, Livy, Biana, Dex, and Wiley, who has the same ability as Elwyn, all felt her enhancing fade as soon as Sophie added a second pair of gloves. Contrast that with Orally, whenever she is grabbing her, like holding her hands during the enhancing, the enhancing reset or whatever it is, she said, they actually decide to grab each other's wrists because Sophie's like, listen, my enhancing's stronger on empaths and telepaths, so it's going to hurt if we try to grab each other's hands. And she said, Orly stretched her arms out a little farther, and Sophie held her breath as she grabbed onto Orly's wrist at the same time Orly grabbed onto hers, and both of them jolted from the shock of sparks that zinged up their arms. So, she tried it with Elwyn. It only took 2 layers of gloves for both flashers. And that's the same thing it took for technopaths and conjurers and all these other people that we know aren't her parents. But for empaths, it took 7, and telepaths, it took 4.
Do we know for sure that her enhancing is stronger on empaths because O'Reilly's her mom? Do we know that for certain?
Well, it's pretty much confirmed because in just a couple pages, whenever she's working with Orly, whenever she learns how to turn it off, she's like touching the place under her ribs where it turns off from, and Orly's like, that's where it pulls from? Sophie says, yes, and she said, that makes so much sense because that's where empathy pulls from. And then another thing, Sophie's like, well, a lot of things, my telepathy is similar to that of an empath. And really, like, telepathy is her strongest ability.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense if one of her parents wasn't a telepath. Because, yeah, she's got all these other abilities too. But why is the telepathy so much stronger than everything else? Why is the telepathy, like, her main ability and her first ability?
What did they do with the alicorn DNA?
That made her able to communicate to animals and teleport, yes.
Is there anything... I thought... Were those not side effects?
No, the teleportation was... I want to say the teleportation was the main thing that they wanted.
I want to check this.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to check Exile for something. Sorry, I lost the mouse. Okay, I found it. It's in Exile, page 504. And I'm just going to read and see if there's anything kind of important.
I'll check Unlocked.
He said, all you have to do is inflict powerful positive emotions to build their strength back. But I can't inflict positive emotions. He gave her a knowing look. I can? Only in theory, though it's looking much more likely now that I've seen the connection between you and Sylvanie. I modeled many of your genetic manipulations on alicorn DNA. What? She was on her feet without deciding to stand. Are you saying I'm part horse? A horrifying image of her as some sort of mutant Sophie centaur flashed through her mind, and she wanted to reach inside her brain and tear it out. Of course not, Sophie. I just needed something to base my research on, and Scylla Hex had noted all kinds of interesting observations about the way her alicorn had affected her emotions. I suspected it meant alicorns have a way of inflicting their feelings on others, both bad and good, so I decided to model some of my tweaks on their DNA. But you're still 100% elf.
Hold on. Could that mean it's stronger in empaths because of alicorn DNA? I'm just trying to consider every angle.
I mean, that could be the extra 3 gloves. Because, Keith needed 7. No, because Keith's boosted by his mom. He could feel her across the room anyway.
Wait, what?
Keith, with his empathy, could feel her across the room anyway.
Yeah, always.
So that's probably what the extra 3 gloves were.
Is what?
Keith already being powerful. Like, he was powerful. She was powerful.
Yeah,
But Fitz, that telepathy thing...
Hold on a second.
Interesting.
Well, she is a telepath.
Yes.
And so...
but she has to get telepathic genes from something, especially for it to be, like, her most powerful ability. That's why I just really feel like her dad's got to be a telepath. It doesn't make sense for there to be, like, that thing where, especially, like, why would she say, my enhancing is only stronger with empaths and telepaths? Like, it just seems so deliberately placed there, especially in the scene with Orly, who is an empath and who is her mom, to make you think, or, like, just one of those little things that make you think.
But then, how did she get so many other abilities? If she doesn't...
Manipulations for genetics.
Yeah.
But the rest of them aren't as strong.
But... Okay. Her mother is an empath, and she has, like, she has 5 abilities, and one of them is an empathy.
Right. I'm thinking that that's one of her potential abilities. Mr. Forkel didn't give that to her, I think, probably, first of all, to make her less vulnerable to shattering. Also, probably, because it would be very clear, because they literally are identical. And then... She asks Keith, she's talking to Keith and Never Seen, and she's like, I wonder why the Black Swan didn't make me an empath a lot of the time. But probably a mix of they didn't want her to shatter, they didn't want it to be too clear about Orly.
Yeah, but if it were if it were just that they didn't want it to be too clear, why would they have used Orly? They should have just used someone else, less in the public eye.
Like, why did they use Orly? Is that what you're asking? Well, first of all, she volunteered.
Yeah.
She, in some way, she probably told them, I want to help you. And they were like, perfect. Or they knew that if they had someone on the council advocating for Sophie, that Sophie would have a much better chance of being able to stay in the Lost Cities and, you know, get to continue there even whenever she messed a few things up or a lot of things up.
Okay. I want to go through the Elwyn theory.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it more.
I've kind of... I mean, if her enhancing really wasn't stronger on Ellen at all, but then on Orly it was like... It's kind of...
So, this is where the rabbit trails start. I don't know. I think you're right, that is a telepath, but I still think there's a lot of points to this theory.
Go ahead, read Ellen's.
Reading Ellen's.
It's very, because whenever I heard it, I was like, oh, that makes sense, but I don't like it, so let's find something against it, and that's what I found.
It could be, I don't know. Okay, so, we'll go back to your thing after I read all this. Okay, so you said, Elwyn, there's some good points to this theory, and it's a real possibility. Are you looking in there?
I have the Google Doc of it.
Okay. And then you took out your note.
Wait, what note was it?
So, Jaycie had a note that said that she thought Rose's little comment...
Oh, that's at the end.
Oh, it is? Oh, then why is my note against it at the beginning? Read your note at the end.
I don't know. So these are my kind of counter theories to it, besides Legacy 533, which is what I just read. Also, whenever Keith came up with Bront possibly being Sophie's dad... Ro was like, there's no way our pretty blonde hottie could have come from someone like that. Sophie's thought when she first saw Elwyn was, he's not as stunningly good looking as the rest of the elves. So...
And then all I said was, O'Reilly's pretty enough to make up for it.
I mean, yes, she looks a lot like her, but it just, I don't know. Ro said that for a reason. Even though, like, she wasn't like, or her mom could have been really pretty. Maybe Keith said that. That sounds familiar, actually. But, I don't know.
Does he?
I'll check while you read some more about Wiley. And then also the topple the world thing, like Ellen, some random physician being her dad would be like world changing. O'Reilly would.
O'Reilly would.
Yes.
O'Reilly would.
But I really feel like he's talking about both parents. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not yeah. Okay, find it.
Okay.
Find what you were talking about in... No, it's not Unlocked. It's Legacy.
It's Legacy?
It's behind you. Just pause it and do it.
Okay. Okay, I found either it or something right before it, so we'll just read. He said, Rose said, exactly. For the record, I'm totally on team not the daddy. You are? Keith asked. Yep, I've seen the dude, remember? I mean, personally, I think all of you elves are scrawny and weird looking, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to tell which ones of you are technically prettier by your elfie standards. And Counselor Pointy Ears? Meh. No way his daughter could be our little blonde hottie right here. Unless she gets that from her mom, Keith reminded Ro. And part of Sophie's brain wanted to wonder if that meant Keith was agreeing with Ro's blonde hottie assessment.
Yes,
that was definitely
he
not
was.
something she needed to be thinking about
Sophie!
at that moment. Or ever.
Or ever.
She said or ever.
Okay.
Yes. And then she's like, I know you're just trying to make me feel better, but Braun's just going to say he is my dad. And Keith was like, but we don't know that, so stop panicking.
You're right. So he did say that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think like Keith. Okay.
She's way happier about that than you can even tell.
Jaycie has points against this, so these are my thoughts last night when I was trying to figure out points for the Elwyn thing. Okay? I said, Shannon keeps dropping hints that Sophie could have more abilities that we don't know about. Maybe she has potential to be a flasher but hasn't manifested. Maybe this and/or O'Reilly's empathy is why Forkle doesn't seem she's done manifesting.
And I want to read that quote that you put there. I don't know if you did that intentionally, but this is Keith and Legacy. I mean, yeah, it's not always that telepathic parents have telepathic kids or whatever. Sometimes genetics decide to be funky and do their own thing. But it also happens consistently enough that it's safe to assume your biological parents have at least some of your abilities. So what I was saying
about a lot of things.
What I was saying about the telepathy.
Yeah, but he does say sometimes genetics decide to get funky and do their own thing. Now pass me Legacy. Pass me Legacy. Here it is.
There.
Now I have another Keith quote.
Oh boy.
Because Keith is so the expert on this.
Yes, he's got like such easy to decipher parents that it's just like, oh, he knows everything about parents.
So here they are talking about Bront still. Stick to the facts, Foster, Keith begged, taking her hand again and sending another soft breeze into her mind. Oh, okay. Remember, there's still a good chance we're wrong about all this. Genetics are weird. Look at Dex. He's a technopath and his mom's a Froster. And his dad's talentless. And no, I don't think that's because his parents were a bad match. Morella's parents were matchmaker approved, and neither of them are pyrokinetics like she is. So you and Bront both being inflictors might not mean what we think it means. And then Rose says, exactly. For the record, then that's right before she says that.
But inflicting, not only is it not her first ability, but it's not her strongest ability.
But he does bring up Morella.
And Forkle says that, he actually says in book 2, yeah, I modeled your inflicting off of alicorns. He literally is like, because I wanted you to have the positive inflicting was modeled off alicorns.
I wonder if both O'Reilly and her dad, and whoever her dad is, could have had, like, telepathy as a recessive gene. It's like...
I'm not even sure abilities work that way.
I'm not sure either.
That would make sense.
How did Morella get pyrokinesis? But then the thing is, they definitely wanted her to have telepathy. Could they have, like, implanted it?
That's not how it works.
Well, then how'd she get so many other abilities? They did it with alicorn DNA, and she got inflicting.
Some of them were alicorns, like teleporting and inflicting. Some of them, what are all her abilities?
They could have modeled it literally off of Forkle.
Where did Polyglot come from?
Yeah. It's not her strongest ability.
No, it's like barely even. She can't even mimic. All she can do is speak languages.
We don't know that.
She can't mimic yet.
Did she try?
She tried and it was really bad.
It was bad, yeah.
And Lady Cadence almost kicked her out of the class. She was so mad at her.
Yeah.
But she can speak other languages.
She does have inflicting, and it's extremely strong.
Well, it's not as strong as her telepathy. And, alicorns. He said that was what alicorns.
Well, is it as strong as her telepathy? We don't really have that many inflictors to go off of.
I mean...
She's also a very strong enhancer. It's her first ability, that's the thing.
Yeah, and it's always what's mentioned.
Yeah, and it's always what's mentioned. It's also what they really wanted.
Yeah.
So it's
very what she would need to be able to heal minds, which Forkle said in Exile was like one of her main purposes.
Like I said, I'm still playing devil's advocate because it's very, very likely that her dad's a telepath. But O'Reilly was an empath, so... But yeah, it's very likely.
She has to be, like, able to argue against me, because otherwise I'm just going to say things, and then people listening will be like, she's not allowed to just make these conclusions.
Yep. Okay, so then I said, I kind of want to skip this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not really a big point. For Elwyn, I just said, he's a doctor. He's very trustworthy. Why is Livy the Black Swan doctor? Or at least, why isn't he part of the Black Swan yet?
I wonder, because I had this thought just a second ago, kind of thinking about some of his other comments and stuff. Maybe he is a part of the Black Swan.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Him being Sophie's dad might be a bit of a stretch. But I could see him at least, like,
There's
helping
lots
with
of mystery
Project
about
Moonlark.
him. Yeah. I'm going to keep going.
And he has battle training.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
Yep. And then I said, Sophie was not supposed to come to the Lost Cities as early as she did. The Black Swan would have assumed it was safe to have Elwyn keep his role as the doctor at Foxfire, because Sophie was never intended to attend, at least not that early. Remember they said, oh, whoa, we thought you would come a lot later, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember something like that. I was looking for that the other day, but I remember, like, the main thing that I remember someone saying was, like, we had to get you out fast whenever the fires were sparked or something.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah,
I don't remember when that was said, but yeah. I remember that.
But I know they didn't intend for her to come at that time.
Right.
And they were like, oh, no. Because I think Forkel says we had to rush our plans, basically. Mm-hmm. So they would have been like, oh, yeah, Elwyn, you're fine. He's fine. He's the Foxfire doctor. They won't meet.
Yeah. But how would they, like, stage him getting fired or whatever?
What do you mean?
Because she would still... I'm assuming they were still planning on her to go to Foxfire at some point.
Maybe elite levels? I don't know. But they definitely could have staged him getting fired or said, hey, quit your job now.
I'm just going to seriously quit my job and vanish.
Or, we don't know. They could have never intended her to go to Foxfire, which would be really weird, but it's still possible.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay. And then I wrote here, so last night, I was going crazy. If you saw on Instagram, I was like, please tell me if you know where this is. Because I was trying to find where Livy and Elwyn meet. And I can't find it. Do you remember where they meet?
I'm going to pause again real quick. I'm sorry, we're pausing so much, but that's because
if you find it, I'm going to be really mad because I could not find it.
We're trying to be really thorough for you guys, so I'm going to pause again and see if I can find it. Okay, after more searching.
Yes, we have done a lot of searching. Jaycie has been on Google Books searching the samples.
And it seems that they didn't meet in the books.
Yep.
But Elwyn knows who she is in flashback.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have something you can search on, or if you just plain know where the scene is, I feel like Elwyn and Livy met somewhere in the books, but I cannot find it. And so it's really suspicious because the first time I can find them meeting, they act like they know each other already. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, can you talk now, or are you still searching?
I was going to search one other thing, but I can talk.
Okay.
What do you want me to talk about?
I just want you to react and give commentary. Okay, so in Flashback 172, wait, do you want to check one more thing?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to let Jaycie check. Maybe pause it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, no, we couldn't find it. Okay.
Okay, so if this is the first time, if no one can tell us, or we can't find in the future, if this is the first time, this is suspicious because, okay, in Flashback on page 172, Livy is mentioned, and Elwyn says, it's right after the Never Seen attack Sophie and Fitz. Elwyn says, this is tough stuff. Wait, okay, he's talking about healing Sophie, and he says, I may check with Livy too, and see if she has any suggestions. She usually comes at things differently than I do, so she might think of something I'm missing. And then it talks about Livy as the Black Swan's physician, though she usually called herself Physic when she played that role. And she'd been part of Project Moonlark, so she understood Sophie's unique genetics even better than Elwyn. So, in Flashback, he says he's going to ask Livy. So he already knows of Livy, which could be because they have a connection in the Lost Cities. Mm-hmm. But then, when she shows up, she's in disguise. And he's talking to her. He says, oh, I'll check with Livy. And then Livy comes after corresponding with Elwyn because she says, I'd been hoping Elwyn was exaggerating. And she's in disguise and being called Physic. So it says right here, aw, look at you guys, all snuggly with your little stuffed animals. A familiar voice called from the doorway, and they both turned to find Livy grinning at them. Wait a second. Oh no, she is Livy. Here. I read Jules and I thought she was in disguise.
But why would he think of Livy, like, before any other doctor?
Yeah.
Because there's other doctors in the Lost Cities. I hope other doctors in the Lost Cities besides the two of them.
She's not in disguise. Well, she did have shimmer on her face, it says, or on her skin, like jewels on her skin. But no, I don't think she's wearing her mask.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it is interesting that Elwyn and Livy have a connection.
Right. She's like, I'll bring Livy. Like, out of any.
And he says, wait. 172. He says, he explains it as, I may check with Livy, too, to see if she has any suggestions. She usually comes at things differently than I do, so she might think of something I'm missing. So he's like, she usually comes at things differently.
So
and then
like,
Sophie
talked to her before.
Yeah, and then Sophie mentions she was a part of Project Moonlark.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be proof for either Elwyn being more suspicious than we know and being on the Black Swan, or being connected to the Black Swan, and knowing that Livy comes at things differently. Just interesting.
Yeah.
So, say Elwyn's her dad. That's a good proof. They're both doctors. He knew to go to Livy when Sophie was hurt.
Maybe he's a telepath and he's not telling anyone. That's the only way that I feel like it would make sense to me. Like, even if Shannon said, oh, yeah, he's her dad, I'd be like, but telepath?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark?
Yep. Though, there is the part about Keith saying, well, it's not necessarily.
But he also said it's usually.
Yeah, true.
See, she leaves it so ambiguous, and it's so intentional. And then later she's going to say something, and she's going to reference something we missed, and we're going to be like, what? And we're going to go back and find it and be like...
Yep. So then, so that's interesting. If you know where Livy and Elwyn meet before that, please tell me.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm dying. I want to know. Okay. So then, so at Miss, Auntie _Row on Instagram made a post explaining her. You're like, oh, yeah.
I know, I love it, because that's when she's like, oh, come to Auntie Row and tell me all about it.
She made a post on Instagram explaining her theory on this, and she sent it to me. She said, Elwyn might have given Ella to Sophie, or maybe it's and I added, or maybe it's just a genetic thing, like how O'Reilly and Sophie have similarities.
A lot of similarities.
Yep, a lot of them. So,
I chose not to list those out in the first part for time, but there are many.
I actually put this in the wrong place, but I said, Book 1, page 114 of the annotated edition. Ella, she whispered. I haven't slept without her since I was 5. 5 is when she hit her head and triggered her telepathy. So she either got Ella or hasn't slept without her when she was 5. Mm-hmm. One or the other. And then didn't Forkle take some of her triggering, like he triggered it? Maybe Elwyn could have...
She was unconscious whenever he triggered it.
Yeah. Okay, so...
He took a different memory. He took the inflicting memory, and he took, I think, the memory whenever she woke up in the hospital the first time, and it was, like, painful.
So I'm just wondering, Sophie was unconscious then. I wonder if Elwyn could have somehow given Ella to her, or Forkle could have been, consulted Elwyn. I don't know, I'm just thinking it's weird. Consulted Elwyn, like, help us figure out what to do about her head and her telepathy and stuff like that, and Elwyn was like, will you give her this for me? Which could mean he's not her dad, but it's still just a thing.
If he's not her dad, it would make sense still, because he's a very sympathetic character. Like, he's like this with Keith, too. He literally, adopted him.
I'm adopting you. Here's your stuffed animal. Yeah. He gives
fits.
Mm-hmm. He gives everyone stuffed animals, which is why, I don't know. And that's just something that she said that I was like,
He's a very fatherly character. Like, he again, does it to Keith, too. Mm-hmm. So we can't read too much into it. Am I just
I agree. Okay.
Push towards the Kendrick theory, maybe?
Mm-hmm. It's just, then who is it if it's not these people?
Right. Okay. I will add, I don't mind pushing towards the Kendrick theory a lot. It's just because I really like Kendrick and want him to be important. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's very unlikely that, that he's both alive and Sophie's dad. If it's one, it's only one of those. And I haven't actually, had this much faith in my Kendrick theory ever before until today, whenever I started talking about it. So, in 3 days, I'm going to be like, nah, I don't think so anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, last night, I was like, the Elwyn thing, it makes sense. And now I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
No, the next part, though, made me even go, oh, no.
What part?
just starting at point 7 and going on. Go ahead.
We got so much Elwin and Unlocked, including his whole Sophie file. We didn't get anyone else's Elwin commentary. And
we got Keith commentary.
But it's Keith detention commentary.
And his photos and all that.
And it's also true. Elwin's commentary is just interesting. Mm-hmm. But it's also there.
Right.
And we got a picture of him.
We got Sophie commentary, too.
Yeah. But, so it's...
We also got a picture of Orly and Kenrick. I'm just saying. And, like, Kenrick was separated and blacked out, and I totally didn't cry. Okay.
Okay. And then I just said, question, does Sophie have any weird connections to light? It did trigger her headaches.
Her headaches, yeah, whenever her mind had, like, the crack in it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything because it had more to do with, like, light triggers everyone's headaches. Mm-hmm. And, like, there was nothing with emotions that, like, destroyed her whenever she was, like, think about it. She had even more reason to be sad. And, yeah, she was kind of sad, and Ellen gave her that thing that made her happy. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. I just remembered that. That was Ellen there. But, like...
Wait, what did you give her?
It was, like, this weird pill, and it made her really giggly. It's like laughing gas. And it was right after Alden shattered. I had to read this book out loud to Aiden, so I know everything that happens in it. But, she was sad, but, like, it was Alden. And something really similar happened when Kenrick died. She was, like, sad and quiet. But there wasn't, like, an emotional leak into her mind or something.
Yeah. If Elwin was her dad, he would be a much different parent than Arali. Arali's like, I'm so sad, my daughter.
But she loves Ellen right now. Whenever she left Orly, there was this one quote that was like, she told her that she trusted her, and it was like, Orly's blush shifted to a rosy glow. I'm glad you trust me, or something like that. Like, she really loves her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it makes me so sad.
Yeah, and then but Elwin's also just more personable and more connected and more.
He's just hyper.
Yeah.
That child.
So then, he knew Livy. Livy could have said, "Oh, look, DNA donor." It's just thought.
Oh, look, we can steal someone's DNA, Farkle.
Yeah. Okay, so then I said lots of fatherly quotes. And then there's this part, which is just plain Elwin's suspicion, kind of like there's Kenrick's suspicion, where it doesn't, Ro agreed, wrenching out of Elwin's grip. But Elwin caught her wrist and twisted her arm away from her weapons with a move that made Keith wonder if Foxfire's physician had gotten some battle training. It's from Unlocked, page 554.
That's random to just mention.
Yeah, and then there's this, where, but I'm on your side, Keith, no matter what happens, Elwin says. It's kind of like Arali saying she was on Sophie's side. Okay.
He's talking to Keith.
Yeah, he is. But he still says, I'm on your side. I'm on this side.
Oh, that's true. Like, I'm already on your side. She says that to Forkle.
Yep. And then he's like, Team Foster has sledge or whatever. And then, which is weird to throw his last name in there.
Did you say Foster has sledge?
Yeah.
Keith's last name is not Foster.
You're right.
I mean, not yet.
They should hyphenate it. Okay. So then he can still call her Foster.
Well, the thing is, but in the Elven world, you pick whichever last name is the most famous, and the Simpson name is kind of...
and he'd be so glad to get rid of his last name.
Yes, because of Gisela, Cassius, they're not exactly great people.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. And then he says, so right after he says, no matter what happens, he mentions his last name, and Fitz goes, I never knew your last name. Fitz mumbles.
So random.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like that's suspicious. And then Elwin says, there's a lot, and then it's in italics. There's a lot you don't know about me, Elwin told him before turning back to Keith. So that's mysterious, like Arali was. Mm-hmm. But it could be Tiergan mysterious like Black Swan mysterious. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Okay.
See, she's back on the side again. See, whenever I was reading the Kenrick thing, she was on the side of Kenrick being her dad. Whenever I read the thing about Mr. Forkle italicizing I, she was on the side of Mr. Forkle being her dad.
We still have to talk about that
whenever
in a minute.
Tiergan and Forkle glanced at each other, guess whose side she's on?
I think
the only one she didn't, take the side of was Gethin.
Yeah. Which is going to be really ironic if it's a Gethin. I'm going to be so mad.
Okay. It will make zero sense. Mm-hmm. Unless there's, something really big that we don't know.
Yep. So then, And then I just wrote, like, thoughts. See, the thing is, a lot of things wouldn't have to be lies. A DNA donor is a lot different than being on the Black Swan. Like, her brown eyes. Her brown eyes were a surprise to everyone. Mm-hmm. And, like, even Black Swan, right? And so then Elwyn's like, your eyes are brown. That's not a surprise. And so is O'Reilly.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. She doesn't say anything.
So a lot of things Elwyn says don't have to be lies. They just, because they're supposed to remain separate. Okay? And then, unlocked page 54, which is, I was just skimming this, not really looking too hard, but where Elwyn's thing, he says, kind of looked like Sophie and Fitz were together. My little girl's growing up. Which is very Elwyn of him.
Yeah.
But also, it could be suspicious.
He says something really similar about Keith.
Yeah. Where? I'm sure he does.
I forget where. I'll have to look for it later. But it's just kind of like his whole attitude towards Keith is really similar to his attitude towards Sophie. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which could be just because he's such a fatherly character.
Right.
But it
just
could
in general.
also
like
be...
Alden does the same sort of thing with Sophie. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, little Sophie, you're my best friend. Even Tyrion is like, or not Tyrion, I'm sorry, Tarek, Counselor Tarek, whenever Alden, his mind is broken, he's like, I hope I can take Alden's place. I know he was like a father to you. He literally says something like, I know Alden was like a father to you, and I hope that I can, like, step into that role or something. And that's when I was like, Counselor Tarek, you good there, bud? You're acting a little suspicious. Like, I don't know if they should think that you're never seen a Black Swan right now. Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to make the argument that people acting like Sophie's parents doesn't mean they're her parents, you have to take out Kenrick.
But he's a telepath.
True.
He's the only telepath that's, like, super suspicious, besides Tyrion. But Tyrion is on the collective, which still... Like, if we went really simple, it's like, telepath, we have Gethin, Tyrion, and Kenrick. And we will have to rule out all three of them.
Yeah, and my not wanting to be a telepath might be the same thing as me when I was like, it can't be O'Reilly, that's too obvious. I might be like, it can't be a telepath, it's too obvious. Okay.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. And then I said, Elwyn is the person in book 1 to suggest it was a brain push, which could be Elwyn's her dad, or it could be Elwyn's on the Black Swan.
Okay, he's definitely on the Black Swan if he's not her dad. He definitely
Or at least connected somehow.
I wonder if he was a part of Project Moonlark. Because he's a doctor. Mm-hmm. They could have specifically put him there because they knew that he knew about her genetics. And then
that would explain why he
knew how to help her with her allergy.
Yeah.
He knew about the brain push.
Yep.
I wonder if, like, he helped plan it, though. Not that he was the DNA donor. But, like, he was one of the planners.
Uh-huh. I wonder what motive he would have. Besides just being really perceptive and knowing stuff is wrong in the Elven world.
Yeah, that's my guess.
He's suspicious.
Definitely.
He could...
With battle training, though, I feel like he would be more involved with the Black Swan than just the... This is just me trying the hardest to counter Elwyn.
Could he have gone to Exilium? He's not part of the nobility. He's just a doctor.
You're right.
He does seem kind of like...
That's the theory.
I don't know.
Yeah, Elwyn could have... Did Elwyn go to Exilium?
Okay.
You couldn't see my reaction, guys, but whenever she asked if Elwyn went to Exilium, I, like, slowly turned my head.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's just suspicious.
Is that everything that we have on him for now?
I guess for now, but this is why I'm really excited to reread the books and talk about them, because we can look for so many clues.
Yeah.
But that's why it's good that we're doing theories before, because then we know what to look for.
Yes.
Okay.
So, one theory that maybe someone had, maybe it was just Sydney.
Ooh, my mom... Wait, pause it. My mom says she needs no time.
1 second. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so another theory is Finton.
Yep.
And Sydney's notes was, he's blonde and an elf.
Uh-huh. Didn't I see something earlier? Oh, that's about Cassius. Never mind. Okay.
Basically, Finton, if he's double agent, have some questions. Like, why are you the worst possible double agent to ever exist?
Finton, it makes 0 sense.
And,
okay, listen.
He's
been banished or whatever no, he was just hiding. Also, Forkle, isn't there something where Forkle says, I'm not going to give you pyrokinesis?
Yeah, I think so.
That would be a little risky.
Yeah. And just, like, it's the same problem as we had with Gethin. Either he's going to use that as emotional manipulation, or he's going to...
And that would be really dumb of the Black Swan.
Right. To use such a chaotic, evil person.
Yeah, he's blonde and an elf. It's not fitting. No.
Grady is another theory, according to Sydney. Do you know how to pronounce that?
At LANZ, not Z.
X.
XIANG dot underscore dot ZHNG said that Grady. And so I was like, well, let's consider it.
The Black Swan would never put her with Grady if he was a real dad.
Yeah, that'd be really strange.
Well, like, the Black Swan... So, Orly said that she personally pushed for Sophie to be adopted by Grady and Adeline. The Black Swan would have been like, stop.
Yeah.
If Grady was actually her dad, because that would have been way too easy for her to guess.
And Adeline would know.
Probably,
the whole thing with the Jolie...
Yeah.
They definitely would have adopted her. There wouldn't have been any question.
Yeah.
It just does not work.
No.
And that would be really sad for Adeline.
Yeah. It's like, for him to have... Yeah, okay. Continue.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And then Sydney's theory.
Actually, we have a couple more.
Oh, that's right. She wrote some down.
Okay. Someone said Cassius.
That's a no.
That's a no.
Oracle wouldn't be like, you and Mr. Simpson should get married.
And then, where was it earlier? Is it this pencil quote? There's somewhere right here.
That's the one that you kept telling me not to take out, so probably.
There's somewhere right here where... Oh, no, it's the early one.
I just definitely feel
like... Okay. Keith said, of course, Keith's not the expert, but I completely do not believe it's Cassius. He says, we can rule out a bunch of people, like Grady and Adeline, because there would be no reason to keep that hidden. Well, that's Keith discounting Grady and Adeline. He says, and my dad, since he'd never give up control of his kid like that, or be able to go this long without bragging about you. Yep.
That's true.
And he says, hey, good news, that means you're not my sister. And that just wouldn't make sense. The Black Swan don't trust him. Then he would have her DNA would be double empathy. And that would make zero sense. She would definitely be an empath.
Yeah. And he begged to join the Black Swan in number 4. It would not have been that hard. They would have been like, wait, what?
And the whole thing where Forkel's like, your father, is he the suspicious one?
Wait, what?
Or when Keith...
Oh, right, when he's trying to figure out which one is on the Never Seen. And he's like, which one of your parents is evil? And he's like, my dad. And Forkel's like, well,
okay.
Let us know.
Yeah,
Any other theories you wrote down?
It's not Cassius. And then my human theory.
Ooh, that's right.
Which is... Forkel lies, and Forkel could slip up, but it's basically discounted. Do you have it on... It's on a tab on your computer, if you want to read it.
Is it you're 100% elf, or...
My theory is there. I don't remember exactly what I said. I wrote this in 2018. My 2 theories were orally, or human, or both. But I don't think it's right.
Well, see, the main thing is in, what was it? In Exile, Forkel says, you're 100% elf.
The quote's on there, if you go to it.
I'm lost.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, never mind, I found it. Okay. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Sydney's like...
I was obsessed with the wiki, 2 years ago,
awesome.
And now it's kind of crumbling.
Yeah. That's not it. Evidence against...
It's really... I want to talk about some funny things on the wiki, but I can't. I might get in trouble.
Not on microphone.
Not on microphone.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, the wiki is amazing.
And it helped with my telepath list.
It's really cool. Especially before we had Unlocked. You should go on there. Just search Keeper Velocity's wiki. Unless you're under 13?
Unless you're under 13. And, here it is. About Sophie's alicorn DNA. This is, under Sophie's parentage theory human. Of course not, Sophie. I just needed something to base my research on, and Scylla Hex had noted all kinds of interesting observations about the way her alicorn had affected her emotions. Oh, I just read this. I suspected it meant alicorns have a way of inflicting their feelings on others, both bad and good, so I decided to model some of my tweaks on their DNA. But you're still 100% elf. So that's definitely where all of her inflicting came from, by the way, because he was like, that means that Alicorns were inflictors, so I decided to give you inflicting.
So they're also telepaths?
Yeah.
Sylvie can connect to Sophie.
Not strong telepaths.
Yeah, but they can connect. She can connect to Sophie without Sophie trying.
Yeah.
Okay. But read my evidence for that just in case.
In other words, all of this should be taken with a grain of salt. I'm going to leave this theory up just in case because it might get other theories flowing. The quote could be an author mistake or even a Forkel mistake, but if we take everything in the books literally, then this disproves my theory. Sophie's parentage theory. Guys, I think we might have been doing this all wrong. What do most of our theories so far have in common? Her parents are elves. But what if they're not elves? What if Sophie is half human? I don't know about you, but this was profound for me. I've never seen this theory anywhere, so when it passed through my mind, I was like, wait a minute. You might be like me thinking, wait, why haven't we thought of this? Or you might be thinking, this girl's crazy. Or maybe even, duh, I knew that. Anyway, I'm going to try to convince you. First, the reasons why it could fit. Then the hard evidence I could find in the series. Why this can make sense. Okay, so first I'm going to outline something I've been thinking about. The secret about Sophie's parenthood must either be 1. Something deeply connected with Project Moonlark so that the Black Swan cannot possibly use anyone else. Or 2. Something that's happened in the past 16 years since Sophie's birth. Think about it. Imagine you're on the Black Swan and you're working on a top secret project. No one can know about it. You must keep it as uncomplicated as possible. When picking the parent, would you pick the person with the secret that could topple your world? Logically, no. You would pick someone without a huge secret that needs protecting. I mean, why not? Unless the Moonlark's parenthood is essential to the plan, essential to what makes Project Moonlark, Project Moonlark.
Yeah, that's why I used to think it wasn't a rally. I was like, why would you pick a counselor, you dummies? But a rally's pretty stubborn.
What if she joined, that brings me back to, what if she joined the council after she became a part of Project Moonlark? Or maybe they were just like, we want someone on the council to advocate for her.
Wait, but she already knew Kenrick.
Did she?
Because he was there when she...
Oh, you're right, because whenever she got back from the thing, so that means...
Kenrick would have had to be part of it first. And Raleigh just plain would have been stubborn and been like, I want to be part of this.
Ooh.
I don't know.
She's right. So they were already both... Why were...
Jaycie's like, oh no. Oh no.
Hold on. If they were both definitely counselors, and Kenrick, definitely was already, noticeably in love with her. Because whenever Jolie had the ball, that's right.
Oh, yeah, I thought of that last night and I forgot about it. Uh-oh.
Why would she agree to...
Uh-oh. Jaycie's so mad. I can see it.
I'm just like... What? So... Yeah, she's not able to have kids. There's no way. That's it. That's why. Oh, she thought that...
Yeah, but that also discounts Kenrick as her father.
Not necessarily.
Well, if they had no unrequited love.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, Jaycie's theories. I'm so sorry.
I'm more concerned about Orly still.
Okay.
The reason that
she joined the council...
That she... Even though she knew about Kenrick, because she's an empath, and she knew. It was confirmed.
You know what? This is why this is probably why I thought Kenrick was on before her. Wait, because she's an empath? What do you mean?
She knew that Kenrick was in love with her, and she thought that if he knew that she couldn't have kids, that he wouldn't want to leave the council for her. And so that's why she was like, well, I know this, but anyway, I'm still going to be a part of Project Moonlark.
Because of Jolie's ball, which was before Sophie.
Before she, was a part of Project Moonlark. She already knew, but she still agreed to it.
Okay, we better explain this in plain language. So we just realized that Kenrick and Raleigh... Jaycie! Okay, she's in a ball. Okay.
No, I know why Keith likes this so much.
Why what?
Why Keith does this in Unlocked.
Yeah.
It's comforting.
Okay, where do I start? We just realized that Kenrick and Raleigh had to have liked each other before Project Moonlark, which
Well,
first
she knew
of all...
it, too, because she's an empath.
Yeah, so she, because of how they acted at the ball, she's an empath. They danced. She would have had to have known that Kenrick liked her. And then still joined the council.
She was already on the council. Because Adeline says, the dress is the most talked about thing in the ball, but something about, talked about almost more than how many times Counselor Kenrick danced with Counselor Orley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She called them both counselors.
Are you completely sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Trust me, I know.
Unless she says... It was
like right before he died, too. It was an Everblaze.
Yeah, unless she's just talking about it as in...
No, it was...
They're both counselors now.
They were counselors.
Yeah, but I think so, too. Okay,
because
so...
They said that the council used to come to the parties they threw. Sorry, continue.
Okay, so timeline is... They're not counselors. One of them becomes a counselor, and the other one does, too. Then a rally.
Then they meet, like, after they're on the council.
Not necessarily, but probably.
Probably. Otherwise, they would not have joined.
Yeah. Or Kenrick... Or, okay, a rally could have met Kenrick before, and then a rally joins and they could have been in love, and then a rally joins the council. She's like, well, I guess you can't step down and marry me. Because she's scared. Okay, so the timeline is they could have known each other before. They're not on the council. Probably, it's possible that Kenrick joined the council first. Then a rally joined the council. They could have known each other before, could have not. Then they're both on the council. They dance. And so that's while Jolie's still alive, so way before Sophie. So that means they already knew each other.
And that she knew that
Kenrick loved her. And so that rules out Kenrick as her father. Unless Forkel's lying, but I don't think he is. And you said that yourself earlier. That rules out Kenrick as her dad because then they knew each other and there was love. Then O'Reilly joins Project Moonlark, and Kenrick finds out because of how she's, exhausted.
Because also, well, he doesn't get confirmation yet. He doesn't know what's wrong with her.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever, that's why he said, and Unlocks, that's why he was like, I understand, or at least I'm trying to. He was, shaken by it, because he knew that she already knew that he loved her,
mm-hmm.
and that he would have wanted to step down with her, but then she, after that, volunteered to be a part of Project Moonlark.
Mm-hmm.
But he died, and he's just fine.
That would have been years later.
Yes.
Gracious.
They were on the council together for that long.
Jaycie, so it's not Kenrick.
No, but I'm... Again, concerned
I know, you're concerned about O'Reilly, but it's not Kenrick, so who's it? Who is it? This is gonna kill me.
It's gotta be Tiergan, then.
Tiergan? Yeah. Oh, have we even talked about him?
Yeah, he was the first one we talked about.
Don't they say Tiergan's not her dad?
Not that I remember. No, she asks if Tiergan is Mr. Forkel. He's like, no, and that's all I'm telling you. He stops her really fast.
Because she didn't know Tiergan was on the Black Swan?
No.
Tiergan?
And that's why they shared a look after she asked. Maybe. Okay. Unless they just both knew.
How do we get from my human theory to here?
Because I read something.
Oh, okay.
I read Secret That Could Topple Your World.
Yeah.
And then unless the Moonlark's parenthood is essential to the plan, why would they pick someone so powerful?
Okay, just so the human theory is, if you want it, I'll send it to you, or we'll put it in another thing. The gist of the theory is, they wanted Sophie to be a bridge between the worlds, and so I was like, oh, what if she's half human? And then we found that quote, and I was like, never mind. So that was my theory in 2018, along with the rally. So yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm processing. I'm emotionally processing this.
Who's her dad?
Oh, Kenrick. No, I'm sad.
This is going to be the most interesting episode ever.
He died. And
we've got to say, okay, listen, you got to listen to the end to hear our revelations.
He died.
Huh?
What?
That means, you know what this means, though? If he's not her dad, it's more likely that he's alive. Because we said one or the other. That should make you happy.
But what if he's not? then he died. Not only did he never, like, in person tell orally, so he doesn't know that he knew that she was Sophie's mom. Like, but she still thinks that if she had told Kenrick, I mean, assuming that we're right about, and we must be, about her not being able to have children, that's why she's guilty, because she knew that if she had left the council anyway, that he would be alive. Oh. She's gonna shatter so soon.
And then maybe they'll find Kenrick.
Yeah, after she's shattered.
And then they can fix her.
See,
maybe Sophie...
I have this, like, nightmare, like, scenario, right? Where she shatters, Sophie tries to heal her, right? Well, how does Sophie heal? What she did for Alden, she went inside, showed him pictures of Fitz, Bianca, Della. You have to come back for them. Oh. And all these memories of them and memories of herself. Then what did she do for Prentice? She showed him memories of Wiley. You have to come back for him and to finish Project Monarch.
What if O'Reilly shatters and then Kenrick comes back and Kenrick goes into her mind and is like, oh, you okay?
That would be the best.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would actually be really cool.
That would be...
Okay.
But if he's not alive, okay, and she shatters, how on earth is Sophie going to bring her back? Because Sophie doesn't like her. But Sophie doesn't like her, so she wouldn't do that. She'd be like, I don't know how to heal her, and Fork would be like...
No. Sophie's going to come around. She is. There's no way. That would be terrible.
It would be terrible, but I wouldn't put it past her.
Okay, it's like Percy Jackson, where he was really mad at Poseidon and then came around. It's like, because he abandoned him, and now they're friends.
I'm really mad at Sophie.
Okay, it's gonna be fine. But listen. Okay, someone better listen to this episode because it's so interesting.
I'm having emotional breakdowns.
Yep. Okay, listen. Listen, if he's not her dad, that means it makes it more likely that he could be alive. Finn's alive. He rushed at Fenton. All of that. And so then he could be alive. O'Reilly could shatter. They could find him under Supporting. This is just...
But did they have any more? Because they were still being nice to Fenton. That's why. Okay, I could not figure out why Shannon would, like, leave it in the book that they're still being nice to Fenton and still giving him all the stuff he wants and still leaving him in his bubble and letting him have his own personal prison and never have a telepath come around him, except that one time Sophie did get to, but she promised not to search his mind.
How's this relevant?
Sorry. Did you know the part about, like, how the council... It was in Nightfall. The council, like, let him have his own prison, and Orly was super mad. But I was like, why? As soon as they got all the cure they needed, all the support on cure they needed, why aren't they just like, okay, now you're going to exile and having a broken mind forever, goodbye? And even Keith was saying, like, are you sure you would want to break his mind again? And Sophie was like, well, I don't know. I don't want him to be happy and alive. So, yeah, but I was like, why is Shannon not... just letting them throw him in exile forever. Why are they still being nice to him? Because they still have to get more of the cure out of him. If my theory is right...
For Supporting?
Yeah.
Ooh.
If Kenrick did have Supporting, like, on him...
I would have to research that. I don't remember that much.
Fenton's basically still in his little house jail. And
so it's basically nice Sleeping Beauty.
That's right. Oh man, if he's
that
alive,
would actually be epic though. Like, okay, maybe it wouldn't be like, oh look, someone's alive, resurrection. Maybe it would be like, oh my goodness, O'Reilly, all this crazy stuff has happened. They went through so much trauma without him. She's been sad. Her mind shattered because of him. That would make it less cheap that he's alive.
She would leave the council so fast. And then.
She'd be like, oh, and that could fix the matchmaking problem.
Right, that's what I was saying. She'd be like, Sophie and Kenrick, bye, council.
Yeah, and...
I'm leaving all of you psychos.
Yeah, and then it would be over because they would have found Kenrick, probably, by the time. And then it could resolve, and Sophie can be like, oh, now that I actually can be matchmade, I don't want to. Hello, Keith. Exactly. Happily ever after. Because she has to.
So
okay,
and Ken
have you
happened.
read spoilers for Percy Jackson? I'm going to talk about it for skip 2 minutes ahead. In Percy Jackson, he's mad at Poseidon, okay? So there's that whole parallel. But then also in Percy Jackson, he doesn't want to be, exactly. Basically at the end of, did you finish the series? Okay, at the end of Percy Jackson, remember how they offer him, we'll give you anything you want. Do you want to become a god?
Yes.
And then he's like, he's kind of wanted it before that because Annabeth was like, well, maybe I'm going to join the Athena.
Those things, yeah.
Not Athena.
I know what you're talking about.
Artemis. And so then he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to stay with Annabeth.
Yeah.
I wonder, because Keith's going to refuse to be unmatchable, I wonder if it'll be, like, that didn't feel cheap because he was like, oh, I could do this, but I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go the other way because I don't want to be a god. And so I wonder if Sophie was the same way, like, oh, I could, now that I could do matchmaking because Aurelia's off the council and Kendrick's there and she's happy, I'm going to go the other way. I kind of like this.
I'm sorry, just the mental picture of Kendrick and Orly actually getting married.
Okay, this is just, I'm like swinging my feet because I'm excited. So even if this isn't true,
I'm like on the other end of the mood swing.
If this isn't true, it makes sense.
5 minutes ago I was crying. Now I'm like,
okay, even if this isn't true, we look like emojis. I'm like, and you're like, okay, even if this isn't true, it would be a really cool fan fiction.
It's going to be in my head forever. I hope you guys know.
Yeah, it'll be in our head.
Whether or not Kendrick's alive in the series, because,
I gotta write this down.
Because my explanation has been so solid since, like, he died, especially once the Supportine was introduced.
You were right about Rally, and so was I.
Yes, but...
And we were right about, So Keith and... you were too, I think.
What was it?
So Keith and Sophie's breaking up and exactly how that went.
I agreed with you on that one.
Yeah, you did.
I was like,
we were both right about that. I was wrong about humans, but... We discredited that before we knew her mom, so I wasn't like, oh, look, it is a human. Like, we found evidence against that and disproved it. So, like, the only thing about Kendrick being alive is I'm like, I'd be too happy and perfect. Kind of like I was about a rally.
End of a series.
She's too nice.
If the end of a series isn't happy and perfect, there's no point in reading it.
I wonder if we'll find out something that leads them to Kendrick. I don't know.
Well, if listen, that storehouse thing, that's what made me like, oh my goodness, this is a possibility. Because everything went right. And the Neverseen do just have these random buildings.
I just thought of the darkest thing. What if Kendrick was in the storehouse?
They checked it. Sydney, are you okay?
That's so awful.
That would be... They probably would have locked it.
Huh?
They probably would have at least put a door. I don't know.
You know what No, wait. Do you know what I'm thinking?
Sophie burned.
Yeah.
The irony. I can just imagine Fenton being like...
Oh, gosh. I wonder if Fenton...
That's so funny.
I wonder if after this, Fenton's going to be like, let me out. I'll lead you to Kendrick, but you have to let me free.
We leave this in the burned down storehouse.
That's awful.
He's like, oh.
I'm just laughing because it's so awful.
I wouldn't be laughing if I thought it was true.
No, it's not true, but that's... Okay.
Okay, give me 1 second. I have to answer a phone call, and then... that's not the right mouse. And then we shall be right back. Hopefully we'll also recover from our emotional breakdowns.
Okay.
All right.
We're, like, completely out of time, so we have to stop. But...
This has been a great episode.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. We might have to we're probably going to make this 2 parts.
We have. Well, we might have to.
Uh-huh. Whew.
Well, that was fun. Hopefully you got some thoughts from it. If you are leaning towards one of the theories from something we said, or if you find anything where Ellen and Livy meet before book 7, please tell us.
We got it. Ooh, is it Ellen now? Who is it? I'm so frustrated.
We might end up having to make a part 3 of this. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll see.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Cities podcast. Leave us a review and tell a friend about the podcast if you liked us. Email us with comments and episode suggestions at theforbiddencitiespodcast@gmail.com. And to follow us on Instagram, just search @Forbidden Cities Podcast.